Being able to identify choppy price action like this live while you're trading is fairly difficult. But one thing that I kind of like to pay attention to a little bit is what news do we have this current week? What has been going on in the pre-market? And if I look at the pre-market today, we can just see that the pre-market has been just cutting through the daily, not respecting this level whatsoever. And we're just cutting through the VWAP. And then we make our way back down below the previous day's New York VWAP. And then as we get into the New York Open, we can just see that these 15-minute bars are stacking on top of each other, not really creating that separation or movement that we normally like to see on days to where like price action is trending. And if we just zoom in to dive deeper into this price action by looking at the 2-minute chart, we can see more details as to why we kind of really should be staying out the market. I just like to highlight how price is just cutting through these VWAPs. Although it is now technically respecting the daily VWAP, while we're live in the market, we're seeing that price cuts above the previous New York, then cuts back down below it, cuts right back above it with this news bar right here, and then cuts right back down below it. This already, for me personally, is a good enough sign that tells me to stay out of the market, at least until these VWAPs can be respected, or at least until we can break out of a range. So what I'm looking for is not taking a trade within this little zone right here, but actually wait until we actually start respecting the VWAPs. So now, if you were to look at this price action that's within this little circle right here, you can then look at that and be like, okay, now we're respecting the previous day's New York, and we're also kind of respecting the daily, and we're starting to respect the New York VWAP. So then you can kind of look for a position. And if I were to take a position here, what you could do is you can look to take a short here, have your stop possibly like around here, this recent lower high, because if you look at price action, we're starting to develop these kind of shelves of lower highs. We have our first lower high here, second lower high, and then third lower high. Now you can kind of get a sense as to, okay, we're underneath the daily, we're underneath previous day's New York, and respecting these two VWAPs. Now we can actually take rejection plays off these key levels. And that's exactly what you could have done. You could enter this short here, and you would have had a fairly nice win to kind of end the day green on such a crappy price action day. But besides this short, to me, there really isn't any other setup besides maybe playing the rejection off of the daily over here. But if you were like me and you didn't take a position in the morning, which is highly understandable because just look how price is cutting through these VWAPs, you could have waited until the afternoon. But at this point, it's a little bit confusing because here's where the bias flips because of some tariff news that came out from Donald Trump. And as soon as we break above the daily VWAP right here, we can just see on the 15-minute how strong that candle is that broke that daily VWAP. We can say that, okay, now longs are most definitely on the table. News came out pretty positive this morning. Tariff news is pretty positive as well because tariffs are supposedly being delayed. So you can expect maybe price is going to want to rally off of this. So after we get those news and we see that the news is very bullish and we get this nice 15-minute break of the daily VWAP, we ideally want to get in off the break and retest. So basically anywhere within this range right here, you can get in because this qualifies as retest of the previous day's New York and the daily VWAP with support of the New York anchored VWAP below you for extra confluence if you'd like. So if I were to enter this trade, which again, I didn't just because today I really didn't feel like I had a good read on the market and I was just not loving how volatile the market was today. But if you did want to take this trade, again, you could literally just get in anywhere around here. And then as long as your stop is kind of below covering these VWAPs, so like down at like 89 or even like the 90 level, you're good. And you can get 1R around high of day. But if you were to hold on to this, I mean, you can quite literally just get a little over 2R, which is not a bad trade whatsoever. But again, I don't want to get into that mess of choppiness plus news volatility. So today, I'd just rather stay out and identify that I don't like the price actions today, and I would much rather just not trade the price action today, which shows growth to me as a trader, to be honest, because there's a lot of other people who I'm connected with who they took trades and they won trades and they're up like $1,000 today, but I'm accepting the fact that I made my decision not to trade today because I know that price action really was not clear. In hindsight, obviously, we can point out the easy long here. We can point out the easy short here. But live in the market, there was just too much hesitation. And I was being very skeptical with this type of price action. So if I'm not on my end game and I'm not able to read price action very well, I'm not going to trade. And that just shows a lot of personal growth. So I'm kind of proud of myself for that. But let me know how your P&Ls are within this crazy day of price action. And then hopefully maybe tomorrow we can continue this rally, but who knows?